The Philippines spends almost half its national budget paying just the interest on debt owed to foreign banks. These are homeless children on the streets of Manila, but they could be anywhere in the indebted world. Here the problem of homelessness has become so serious that this police unit does nothing but round up children and try to find institutions that will take them. But they are few, and most of the children come back to the streets. Lieutenant Siochi and his men run their unit partly out of their own pockets. All of them have to moonlight as taxi drivers and ice cream vendors, but these jobs are increasingly rare. The National Economic Development Authority estimated that as a result of IMF policies, 500,000 workers will lose their jobs in the Philippines this year. That means more children on the streets.
Where do these children come from, the children that we've seen on the streets?
Some of them come from the provinces and very low-income families here in Manila.
So they come to Manila with their families?
Yes, yes. And they found that Manila is not a heaven as they think.
Yeah.
Not now. Before, they can get easy jobs here. But now, no more.
The children that are sleeping alone, have they lost contact with their families?
Most of them. Their parents have abandoned them already because of these hardships. They cannot feed them anymore.
Are they very vulnerable to drugs?
Some of them.
I noticed some of them look like they had been using drugs.
Yes, yes, yeah. That's true.
And prostitution?
There are, as we call them, walking doll.
Walking dolls?
Yeah, because they are already prostitutes. Some of them are sick and hungry. But once we brought them to this non-governmental institution like the center, we brought them there. Those social workers take care of them, and we find it heartening. The government is bankrupt. The government is even paying for international debts obtained by the last administration of Marcos.
So you're saying that's the pressure on the society when the government has to pay so much. If
Yeah.
resources are going one way and it hasn't any money left to do something about the homelessness.
Yes. We are supposed to pay from the International Monetary Fund. Too many debts.
This 15-day-old baby was born on the streets. The parents are teenagers and were themselves street children and products of the debt era. The mother was born in the year the World Bank declared the Philippines a special case for development and lent the dictator Marcos more than $4 billion. During their lifetime, the number of people in poverty has risen by almost a quarter of the population.
muna, kumani ka muna. O, alalayan mo misis mo. Alalayan mo.
The Philippines is getting worse now. Only God maybe can save this Philippines.
There's no reason why this country should be poor.
Yeah, there's no reason. We are very rich in natural resources. We can stand by our own.
This is a country abundant in food, but food does not pay back the debt or encourage foreign investors, and so agriculture and a whole way of life is being structurally adjusted. This is the Calabazon Super Project, turning food-growing land into factories for export production. Funded largely by Japan, it is the kind of so-called reform demanded by the IMF. The new factories will produce new revenue and profits for foreigners. They will also produce new debt for the Philippines.
Calabazon typifies the kind of development strategy which only brings ruin to the third world, because such a strategy is premised, for example, on massive development, so-called development, massive exploitation of the environment, change in people's way of life, taking land from the people and the peasants to be able to convert these into so-called industrial zones with the problems of pollution and everything. And usually, this development strategy is fueled by debt, fueled by foreign investment.
The Calabazon project will destroy food-growing land on which an estimated 8 million people depend. The farmers have been given little or no notice, and compensation generally has been meagre. In the meantime, many of them will end up on the streets of Manila, homeless. Japanese, American, and other foreign-owned factories will rise on the paddies and fields.
This is the kind of development that must be put to a stop, because it is not development at all. It is destruction of the environment, it is impoverishing of the people, and it is pushing the country into a debt trap.